Many good questions have been asked, and always appreciate the opportunity to join you in conversation about important issues in the agricultural community. And we discussed this earlier this year when we had the opportunity to speak virtually, because the farm show was virtual this year. But every week I continue to receive an email alert from your department showing the eating establishments that have been ordered to close by your department. And to date, can you share with us how many restaurants have been ordered to close?
Okay, let me get the, yeah, Senator, good to see you. Just let me pull that up. So we have had, let me get the numbers. So we've done 33,676 inspections. 7,800 of those we've had complaints. 59 of those are COVID related. I can walk through the numbers, but 11 had civil penalties, 169 closed by order. Yeah, so I think that was the number that you were looking for, I believe, right?
Yes, and thank you. And those businesses that do not comply, how are you addressing that? You know, these are locally owned businesses that are important in the community. Are you partnering with them, or do you to get them to compliance, or do you go straight into a prosecution?
No, it's a long process. I mean, the last thing we want to do is to shut them down. I can tell you that it's been the case since the beginning. You know, education is sort of our first step. We work with them to get them into compliance. If that means getting the PPE in place, we certainly do that. We try to make those corrections on site, if at all possible. So every effort is made before we get to the point of having to close or issue that order of closure.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Shifting gears a little bit, I'm sponsoring the Senate version of legislation, and Representative Barb Gleim, the gentlelady from Cumberland County, is sponsoring the House version to protect our family farms that get into the agritourism business, to provide them with legal liability protections. Throughout this pandemic, as you know, there were limited opportunities for families to get outside and to participate in activities, and whether it was visiting our orchards, our pumpkin patches, our sunflower mazes. Going out to farms was a wonderful opportunity to keep everyone entertained. And as you know, there are certain challenges with operating a business on a family farm when the public is invited in. And our bill would protect agritourism businesses from lawsuits where no party is at fault for injuries or damages. And the legislation would require that farmers post multiple signs warning visitors of the risks, or ask visitors to sign a waiver of liability before participating in activities. And while the legislation provides some immunity from litigation, the right to sue is preserved if an owner acts in a grossly negligent manner or operates with no regard for public safety. Does your department or the governor have any position on this legislation?
Yeah, Senator, thank you, and I appreciate your support of agritourism. Clearly important. We've watched it over the last sort of 10 years just continue to take on more and more importance in Pennsylvania. So I'm hopeful that we can get to the point of supporting, you know, and you and I talked about this before. I think at the end of the last session, we were sort of there in terms of support, and it got complicated, right, at the very end of the last session. I'm hopeful that we can get there. I know we've got some amendments or an amendment to talk about that is specific to our weights and measures responsibility for these farms that bring, you know, rides and such into that agritainment environment. But I'm hopeful that we can get through that and get to the point of being able to support you.
Would really appreciate that. And as you know, we're getting into that season where folks are going to be picking strawberries, and we will, very quickly move into apple picking and pumpkins and sunflowers and all those things that we all enjoy, and would love to be able to get something in place to protect those farms. And this really has been an opportunity for our farms to replace income through that they've lost through other challenges. So I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.